Hey guys, it's Adrian with BestLogic Staffing. I'm the lead recruiter here, and today we're going to go over some of the best practices when you are preparing your job search or applications or even interviews for the next year. As 2020 comes around, we know that New Year's resolutions are probably one of the biggest things around. We're always looking for ways to improve ourselves, and I think one of the best things to probably look at is how to improve yourself when it comes to interviewing or even just looking for a new position. So today I want to go over some of the best practices and some of the processes that you should be thinking about or taking into consideration when you're looking for a new role. So one of the main important things that, especially in this day and age, that we should consider is our social media profiles. It is very accessible nowadays for an employer to see your social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, maybe, LinkedIn as well, definitely, and anything else as well too. A simple Google search of your name can definitely bring up a lot of things associated with that. So today we have one of our recruiters and sales management teams members, Scarlett. She will be going over some of the best practices when you are working on your social media. Some of the best practices include making it private, taking out some interesting materials that may be on there as well. So she'll go over everything that's involved with making your social media look presentable to a potential employer.
Hi, I'm Scarlett Smalley, a recruiter here at BestLogic Staffing, and today I'm going to be speaking to you about your social media presence when applying for a position. While it might not seem relevant to your resume qualifications, your social media presence is really important when applying for a position. Now, before we get started, make sure you like, comment, share, and follow BestLogic Staffing on all social media platforms. Let's get started. So why is social media so important? In the modern age of technology, social media is a great way to stay connected with family and friends in just a push of a button. However, sometimes it can be easy to get carried away with what you're posting. This can become dangerous when applying for jobs. When an employer is looking to hire somebody, they're not only looking for somebody that is qualified, they're also looking for somebody who will be culturally aligned in the workplace. Employers are almost always going to do a background check when you apply to their positions, so be mindful on what will appear when they search your name. So I'm here to give you some do's and don'ts on how to appear professionally appealing online to the average recruiter or employer. First obvious thing is to keep your social media presence as PG as possible. This means avoiding posting pictures of yourself in an inappropriate demeanor. No drinking, no drugs, no overly revealing pictures of your body, and that goes for all genders. This is especially important for any profile pictures you may have. That is going to be the first thing employers see when searching your name, so that first impression can go a long way. What you say online is also just as relevant. Disrespectful comments, offensive language, and the expression of strong opinions on controversial topics, such as politics and religion, can all be a red flag for a hiring manager. The best rule of thumb is to treat everything as if it's LinkedIn. You never know who might be watching. When it comes to the internet, anything and everything can follow you for the rest of your life. If it's something that you have to defend, it might not be a good idea to post it in the first place. However, what you post is only the surface. There are plenty of other factors that many individuals tend to overlook. What you like, share, and follow are just as relevant. So you might be thinking, so what if I like this inappropriate post? It's not like I said it anyways. While that may be the case, your name is still going to be connected to the post. Even if it's not coming from you directly, you're still declaring your approval of it for anyone to see it online. Your social media is virtually building a reputation for yourself, and employers are looking to see what kind of reputation you present yourself with. You only want to keep things online that you're proud of. If you feel you need to hide certain things from your potential boss, it's probably not a good idea to post it in the first place. Then again, you can't control what other people post online. No matter how clean you maintain your profile, there'll always be that one friend who will post pictures from a fun night out and tags you in it. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook have settings to prevent tags from appearing on your profile without manual permission. It is great to utilize this feature so no undesired pictures of you show up unexpectedly. Of course, the easiest solution to all these issues is just to keep your profile on private. The less public you make yourself, the less likely an employer or recruiter will find a red flag on you. Don't let someone follow you unless you know who they are and you're sure that their social media presence won't damage your reputation. If you want to check how you appear to an employer, just do a quick Google search search on your name and see what comes up. That is the best way to see what an employer will find when they do a background check on you. Hopefully these tips will help you better prepare yourself when you are ready to apply to that next position. Before I go, just a reminder to like, comment, share, and follow BestLogic Staffing for more great content. We're always here to help you reach your professional goals, so give us a call. We're happy to take it. I'm Scarlett Smalley. Until next time.
Alright guys, now that we learned how to master our social media profiles, the next important thing would be the resume. Now, trust me, I get it, resumes can be super general and it's a tough process since each hiring manager is different and each position is different. So what do we do in this case? Well, I think the most important thing would be to take attribute and take inventory of some of your skills, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses to understand how many resumes you would need to make, as well as what to put on each resume. So today we'll be going over some of the best practices to make the resume, such as formatting, fonts, as well as how to understand the position better and make your resume according to that position. Hi, my name is Adrian and I'm a recruiter with BestLogic Staffing. We are on a mission to build a better workforce, and that all starts with a great resume. Whether you're a resume novice or you've made a couple of resumes in the past, there's always room for improvement. So let's get started. And also guys, feel free to check out BestLogic Staffing on all of our platforms. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and don't forget to like this video. So one of the most important things on your resume is to have proper formatting. No matter how great your experience is, if you don't have proper formatting, an employer may overlook your resume. So what you want to do is stick with conventional and readable fonts such as Times New Roman, Arial, and Calibri. These fonts are easy to read and they provide the employer with a much easier access to your resume and viewing your experience. You want to keep sizing consistent throughout the whole document. This pertains to the font itself, as well as the spaces between sections and spaces between experiences. The resume as a whole should look professional and pleasing to the eye, even with a quick glance. The one exception to this would actually be with your work experiences. Hiring managers would like to see two things: where you worked and how long you worked there, but we'll get to that in a quick second. By sparingly using bolds and italics, you can actually help the hiring manager find what they're looking for within the first couple of seconds. The most important thing to keep in mind is that hiring managers typically spend about 15 seconds looking at your resume, so you want to keep it neat and condensed down to one page. The second key thing to constructing your resume are dates of employment. Hiring managers are looking for how long you worked there and how recently you worked there. So it's important that you include months and years, or just years, but it's important to keep it consistent throughout the resume. It's ideal to keep your most recent experiences up at the top of the resume, and make sure to include any training, schooling as well too within a similar time frame. Outside of your work experience and education, it's also important to include extracurriculars or activities on your resume, especially if you're new to the job market. What this will consist of are any miscellaneous accomplishments that you may have, such as volunteer work, community service, or any achievements in school or even on the job, especially if they won't naturally appear on your resume. Not only is this a great way to bulk up your resume, but it's also a great way for the hiring manager to understand who you are as a person. Nowadays in this job market, employers are not only looking to see how qualified you are technically for the position, but also how well you fit within their company culture. Especially if a job is competitive, an employer may have 10 other candidates who are perfectly qualified, so having these extensions on your resume would only help you stand out even better. To build off that, another great section on your resume would be your skill sets. This section would vary depending on the types of positions you are applying for, but also it should be adjusted as you see fit depending on what the employer may be looking for. What you want to do is provide the employer with any relevant information about your capabilities that cannot otherwise be seen on the resume. You want these skills to stick out and be attention-grabbing. That means using bullet points as opposed to full sentences. Remember, this section is for you to sell your honest self as best as you can. This brings me to my last point, the header underneath your name. Two important pieces of information would be your contact information as well as your approximate location to the position. While your location may not be relevant for any remote jobs or online positions, an employer may require a physical presence, so knowing your location only does you better. You don't need to provide your full address, but it should be a common practice to at least include the town or county in which you would be traveling from. The closer you are in proximity to the location, the more likely you are to be in contention of that position. As for the contact information on your resume, you would resort to using an email address as well as the best numbers to reach you. An example of a professional email address would be first initial last name, first name last name first initial, just as long as it looks clean. Also, make sure that your phone number is up to date and it's in service, otherwise an employer may completely scratch your resume. Alright guys, remember to keep these tips in mind when you're creating a new resume or even updating your current one, and you should be in tip-top shape for your next job application. Remember to follow BestLogic Staffing on all of our platforms, and feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and share with your friends. We're always here to help you with your career path, so feel free to give us a call. Signing off, I'm Adrian Budhu. Okay, so now that we know the general overview of what to put on a resume and how to make the resume, what do you do if you have a lot of experience? Well, today Aaron will be going over some of the best practices to do when you have too many years of experiences, or let's say your resume is 5 pages long. In this case, you would have to condense your resume to make it more appealing to the hiring manager. So how do we do so? Aaron will go over that with us.
Hi, my name is Erin Lynn Lopez, and I am the Senior Recruiter for the Professional Division here at BestLogic Staffing. Today we're going to talk about what do you do if you have too much information for your resume. Early in our careers, we are taught tricks on how to bulk up our resumes, but we don't go through how to make our resumes relevant to our new experiences. So how do you make your resume more prevalent in this time when you have so much information? Now, before we start, please be sure that you like this video and add us to all your social media platforms and follow us on BestLogic Staffing. So let's get started. The first thing you want to remember is to keep your resume as condensed as possible. Try to keep as much relevant information in the forefront. You don't want to have a long gap between your pages or in between your work history while you're trying to represent yourself. Maintaining a concise resume allows the hiring manager to be able to go through your experiences and determine on a very quick basis whether you are the right fit for their role. Most recruiters would love to look at your resume at first glance and see the most relevant information that is prevalent to what they need. Too much information could equal too much time. Time is money, and that also means your time. Now, what do you do if you have too much information to fit on one page? This is why we're here. Recruiters want to see the most recent experiences you've had and try to fit you for the right role and the right position that both adhere to both their needs as well as yours. Your work experience should be the last 3 most important positions that you've held. Try and keep it short and try and keep it sweet. Information that you've had 20 years ago might not be relevant for today. So you want to try and keep the most relevant positions, even if they have been contract roles or if they have been full positions. We want to see them, we want to know about them. The last thing we want is to have a position that you've had 20, 30 years ago as a relevant piece when you're currently working at a different role. If you have multiple positions or multiple companies you've worked with, try to keep it as relevant as possible. No need to put in multiple positions for one role. Try and keep it short, concise, and to the point. A couple bullet points are just enough for you to be able to get the point across. This brings me to my next topic, your skills. You want to take this time to showcase your skills of what you've learned in the many years that you've worked at these companies. Showcasing that will show what you've learned and how good of a leader you are, as well as a great employee. Your skill sets are what they utilize to look at what you've learned. Now, when you're going to put into your resume, you want to keep it as short and concise. However, when you're going into your job descriptions, you want to try and keep the most relevant positions that you've had that also emulate those skills. You want to give the reader some time to be able to see what you've learned and who you are, and sell yourself in a precise way. Keeping it short and sweet allows the reader to be able to get an idea of who you are and your work experience, but also understand if you're a great fit. That brings me to my next topic, your buy-in, which is your cover letter. The cover letter speaks on who you are, on behalf of who you are. It allows the hirer to see the exact experience you've had without having to condense it all into your resume. A cover letter is not always required, but it is a helpful tool to have when you're coming into an interview. A great way to keeping your resume to one page is by taking certain information like your education and your certifications and putting them onto your cover letter. This is where you can utilize the paragraph portion to be able to emphasize who you are and what you've done in the last 30 years. If you've had multiple years between your last contract and your last position, you want to try and keep that up. Keep the gaps small. The last thing a recruiter wants to do is try to construct your work experience. A common misconception is that having gaps in your work history could be a red flag for a company, but that's not always the case. This is where you can use your cover letter again. Utilizing that asset allows you to be able to emphasize what those gaps were and why they were relevant, but it also helps break in and bring in your employee information and allow them to see where you're coming from. Any more information you feel would be relevant for your job, hold off. That's for the interview. I hope you find these tips helpful and put you in a better shape for your next application. As I said before, please like this video, follow us on all social medias, and make sure you follow BestLogic Staffing wherever you go. We're always here to help you find your career path. Just give us a call.
All right, so now that we learned some of the best practices on your resume, what to do when you have too much experiences, as well as the general overview of resume formatting and everything like that, I think the most important thing to consider would be an elevator pitch. Now, an elevator pitch is just a quick way for you to convey who you are as a person, or even a professional, what you can offer to a company or hiring manager as well. So, for example, hi, my name is Adrian. I'm a professional recruiter with BestLogic Staffing in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. We specialize in permanent and long-term jobs with all of our clients. Our services are free to use for every single candidate, and all of our positions would be focused more on contract to hire and direct placements. If you are open to speaking with one of our recruiters, we are always here and happy to help. So that was a quick, short, simple, and sweet elevator pitch, which quickly goes over who I am, who I work for, as well as what I can offer to my audience. And my audience would have been candidates in that case. If you're a job seeker and you're speaking to a hiring manager, the format of the elevator pitch should stay the same as who you are, what you can offer as well, but just try to tailor it more to the job as well as the company specifically. For example, let's say it's an IT company. You want to base your elevator pitch more around technology, the internet, software, hardware, stuff like that. Anything that can help you out in that regard. Now, let's say you landed an interview with a company. How do you prepare for an interview? While we do help every single candidate prepare for an interview, letting them know some of the best questions they can ask a client, as well as just going over the job description with them and answering any questions they may have. You guys may not have access to a recruiter if you're, applying to the position on your own. However, you do have access to family members and friends, and they can help you with a mock interview. Now, a mock interview will not fully prepare you for an interview. However, it will provide you with a fresh perspective on some questions that may be asked, as well as prepare you on ways you can answer a certain question. For example, what are some of your strengths or what are some of your weaknesses? If you take inventory of what your strengths and weaknesses are, you can quickly and easily reply to this question. So definitely grab a friend or family member, prepare some questions that you think you may be asked, and you can always refer back to the job description as well as the company website to understand and identify some questions that may be asked as well. Now, dressing for success is definitely something that we all must do when we're interviewing. I know this may be different depending on which trade or industry you're in. For example, machine operators and factory workers, it may be beneficial for you to wear the safety equipment that you would wear on the shop floor, just to show that you know exactly the safety requirements, as well as you may even get a tour of the facility. So you always want to be prepared in that regard. And if you're not sure, always ask. You can always ask the hiring manager or even a recruiting professional as well too, depending on if you're going through an agency or if you're doing it on your own. Now, for the most part though, dressing for success would include a button-down shirt if you're a male, as well as some slacks or trousers and just some nice, I'd say, dress shoes, Oxford shoes, that may work. And for females, a nice blazer would work, as well as maybe, let's say, a cardigan with a button-down shirt, and then, professional pants as well. So it really depends on the interviewer, as well as the company and the industry you're in, but for the most part, that would be a decent way to dress for success. Now, let's say you have a video interview, and I know that's kind of the way of the world nowadays. I know a lot of companies start off with a video interview. So let's say you're doing a video interview. You want to make sure that you have good lighting. You want to make sure that you're in a good environment as well. So, no noises in the background or minimal noises in the background. You want to make sure you have good lighting as well. So maybe you might have to pull the blinds for the sunlight, just make the sunlight a little less harsh on the video, but definitely play around with your settings before the interview. I'd say it's best to prepare 15 minutes in advance for a video interview, as well as just a normal interview as well too. And after the interview, some of the best practices would be to follow up with the company as well. I know some companies may give you business cards. So if they give you a business card, that's definitely an invitation for you to send a thank you note as well. But if no business cards were given and it was mainly, let's say, a video interview, what you could do is research the company, look on their LinkedIn profile, try to find the interviewer who reached out to you, and then you can also reach out to them, send them a connection on LinkedIn, and just thank them for their time. That would show that you are very interested in the position, but that you appreciated the person's time and interest in you as well. So I think for the most part, this would cover some of the main important factors when it comes to the new year and applying for positions. We have many other videos on our website which go over these positions as well, or these topics as well too, and not only for interviewing tips and tricks, but also what happens when you land the job. What do you do on your first day? What do you do on your first week or first couple of months? We definitely have more information on that on our website as well too. So if you guys have any questions on those, I'd first recommend to look at those videos. But you can also reach out to us as well. We're always available. You can call us, email us, or even connect with us on social media. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and many more as well, YouTube as well. But for the most part, I think this covers everything that's important when you're looking for a new job in the new year. Thank you guys so much for your time. I do appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much.